I'm Lucas Mack, and welcome to another episode of the Golden Rule Revolution, where inspiration and purpose come from treating people like people and nothing less. Today, my guest is Brandon Burho. He's a San Diego real estate agent and leadership coach who is supporting men and women master the art of connection and authenticity in order to create a life worth living. Brandon, thank you for joining me today on the Golden Rule Revolution. How are you?
How you doing, Lucas? I really appreciate you having me on.
My pleasure, and I'm honored that you are joining me today. So, Brandon, you and we met through a leadership training that was all centered around emotional intelligence, and you have been one person that I've looked up to, and you've made a huge impact in my life. How did you get into emotional intelligence?
By coincidence, actually. You know, it's funny. The person that introduced me to emotional intelligence is a person that I met about 10 years ago. And he's a really, really good friend of mine, one of my best friends in the world. And, you know, it's funny, we used to bartend together back on the East Coast. And he moved out here about a year and a half before I did. And to make a long story short, he was introduced to the work and in turn introduced me to the work. And he said to me, you know, if you do this, you may be president of the United States. And, you know, at the time I had no aspirations of being president of the United States, but it really was just a metaphor to show me what he really saw in me and the possibility that he saw in me. And because he's one of my best friends and my brother, I truly just went for it.
That story is a great example of, I think, what everyone needs to hear on planet Earth is that there is greatness inside everyone, but they just need an advocate, someone that cares for them, that stands for them, that sees them and the greatness that is within them to come forth. What did that do when he said that to you? What did that do for you internally?
It lit me up, and emotions started kicking in immediately. And I was like, man, maybe I am meant for something more. You know, I always felt like I was, but maybe this is the way. And it just lit me up. And in that moment, I just surrendered and said, okay, let's go.
As a leadership coach, you work with a lot of men and women leaders who are striving to make a greater impact in the world. When you talk about making a greater connection and authenticity in order to create a life worth living, what do you mean by that?
Well, you know, I mean, think about when you go out into the world today. Think about when you walk into a restaurant. You know, what do you experience? What do you see? You see a bunch of people sitting around 9 times out of 10 with their face in their phone. You know, they're in it for the gram per se, right? And, you know, you're finding that a lot of people just go out to experience things in the world simply to show other people that it's almost like they're trying to prove something to someone instead of actually being in the experience and enjoying relationship with someone else and enjoying the connection with someone else and the collaboration and the creativity that is involved with a relationship. And my vision is truly to bring that back to the world.
I talk a lot about relationships, that in order to create a relationship, you have to have 3 ingredients. You have to know someone, you have to like someone, and you have to trust someone. We all know the people that we know and we don't necessarily like, and we all know the people that we know and like, but we don't necessarily trust. And without that last key ingredient, trust, no relationship is ever formed. And what you're saying is what it sounds like to me is it starts with us before it ever goes to the other person. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Absolutely. If you ever aspire to be connected with anyone in this world, you first get to be connected to yourself. And, you know, what that looks like is constant check-ins. It takes work. It's easy to fall out of presence in any given moment with all the things happening in the world. But that's where the importance of vision comes into play. You know, you get to do the work in order to roll out of bed every morning and know that you're working towards what you're passionate about and the difference that you want to make in the world. And if you're grounded in your vision, that's where the connection starts with yourself.
And let's talk about vision, because vision is crucial to the health of any person's emotional state. Where or how can people develop their vision?
Man, well, it starts with checking in. I mean, what would you do if time or money weren't an issue? Like, what would you do to make a living for yourself if time or money weren't an issue? If you could wave a magic wand, um, where would you be? Where do you see yourself? And if you can live in that, you can create. If you can see that and imagine that, you can create that. It really is reverse engineering and taking the action steps one foot in front of the other in order to create it. And it's up to you. And that's where you get to truly take responsibility for your life. You can create. That's one of the beautiful things is being a human being. You can be anything you want in any different moment. It's just up to you to choose it and take committed action.
And when we don't do that, when we don't take responsibility and check in, typically it allows us to fall into victim mindset where everything happens to us and life doesn't happen for us. So, in regards to taking leadership and checking in and being aware of what's going on internally, what are some what are some steps that you recommend people take in order to get in alignment with themselves?
Well, first off, it would start with a morning routine. What does your morning routine look like? Excellence is a habit. It's not, you don't get to do excellence. It truly is a habit that you create for yourself. And so if you have a vision to live in excellence and be in alignment with your vision and your passion in this world, it all starts with your routines. So your morning routines. And that looks different for everyone. For me, it's wake up in the morning. My ideal morning is to read a good book for while I'm having my morning coffee. Hit a 10-minute meditation so I can be grounded in my vision and what I want to create for the day. Head to the gym, for an hour, get my cardio, get my weightlifting in so that I can set myself up and be operating at a prime level. And then I use my mornings for offense. I go out and get the clients, go out and get the big fish that I'm seeking. And then on defense, the second half of my day is used for defense. How can I field those emails, field those calls, schedule those appointments? That's what my typical day looks like. But it's different for everyone, and it all starts with a routine.
Brandon, one of the beautiful things about you that I hope, and people can look you up at brandonburho.com. Um, One of the really incredible things about you is you're a bigger guy. What are you, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4"? You're a big strong guy, but you're incredibly gentle, and you're uh, you're very welcoming for people to approach you. And I know you and I talked in your story. You experienced pain as a young boy and then masked that pain by trying to overcompensate. And tell me how your journey has been from a hurt child to a healthy leader today.
Okay. Yeah. So what that looks like for me, I mean, the pain point that you're referring to that we were chatting about was the point in my life as an 8-year-old boy when my parents got a divorce. A lot of the divorce rates are up these days. Marriages don't typically last, and that's actually how I landed on my niche for coaching. My vision is to coach successful men and women and their relationships, and whether that looks like relationships, their romantic relationships, their platonic relationships, their business relationships. It doesn't matter. I'm all in on all of those, but specifically romantic relationships. To speak on that for a second, if I can coach people to really show up in their relationships, then maybe I can save that 8-year-old boy or girl out there from having to go through what I went through.
And there are a lot of 8-year-old little boys and girls that grow up to be adults still living with that 8-year-old pain. And How how has it been since you got that healing and since you have really dealt with all that? How has your life changed?
Well, sometimes in life you have pain points that you shove down so deep and you don't even realize how they're affecting you. For me, coming through my process, it was it was I was showing up disconnected. I was showing up disconnected. I didn't even realize that it was still affecting me in my life. But coming through that, there was a second component to that. My mom got remarried to my stepfather, and a lot of verbal abuse came with that. And I eventually learned to just numb out and check out from things that I thought weren't serving me. And a lot of the time it was people in front of me. But judgment, or there's multiple layers to that story. But for me, like, one of my biggest breakthroughs was how disconnected I was showing up, and I didn't even realize it. But I spent a lot of the time when I was in conversation with someone, thinking about maybe what they were going to think about me or what I was going to say next, as opposed to truly being present and being in relationship with them. And it's easy to put your walls up to save yourself from any pain that may come. And you don't grow like that, and you can't be in relationship with someone like that, and you can't connect with someone like that. So the key is truly, put yourself out there, be vulnerable, like, feel the feelings that come along with it, because there is no fail. You truly learn or you succeed.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think one of the things you and I learned through the leadership training is the only way out is through. And a lot of us don't want to go back through those moments because they are so painful. Yet, as adults, especially, we can give voice to those pain points, those childhood moments that left us scarred or left us hiding or left us stuffing ourselves way deep within, our emotions way deep within ourselves. And as adults, to go back to that moment and tell whoever or whatever happened that it wasn't okay to be treated that way, and it's not okay to treat anyone that way. That's a powerful realization that I got out of the leadership training that we're both in, and that's one of the things I see you leading people right now through the same thing. So I I'm really impressed with your approach to relationships. Let's talk about let's switch gears and talk about men specifically. What are some of the things that men, from your perspective, struggle with when it comes to relationship?
Great question. Um, and to answer it very specifically, it's vulnerability. It's kind of what I was just speaking about. It's vulnerability. As men, we're taught, don't cry like a baby. Don't be a girl. Men don't cry.
Toughen up, tough it out.
Exactly. Yeah, things like that. And we learn to numb out, and we learn to really allow someone else's intention of judgment to affect how we show up in relationship with everyone, not just romantically, or it's every single type of relationship. So vulnerability, to answer your question.
Hmm. And for women, what is that? What is their greatest struggle when it comes to relationship from your perspective?
For women, I would say being a doormat. I would say a lot of women they're scared to show up as their authentic self, because what I've learned is that there's a scarcity mindset behind relationship, especially after you get past a certain point in your life. As you move into your 30s and you haven't quite found your person, there's a scarcity mindset around relationship. Am I going to meet the one? Am I going to source my king into my life? Am I going to have a baby? Am I going to get married? Am I going to live the American dream in relationship? And when you're coming from a scarcity mindset, you're giving away your power.
Hmm. So the men struggle with lack of vulnerability and lack of feeling and emotion, and women struggle with lack of authenticity, it seems like, and lack of authentic emotion, and both lead to a lack of connection.
And also, one other thing I'd like to add to the women's piece is lack of self worth.
Hmm.
Like, women are queens, and they truly,
Yes.
they truly command. They are the main piece in a relationship. I mean, if you show up as your authentic self, I mean, 1 + 1 = 3 in relationships. So if every person is taking responsibility for their life and how they show up, you each individual takes responsibility, shows up as they're the most powerful version of themselves, and then you have this separate piece that is your relationship together and how you live your life together and how you show up together. So 1 + 1 = 3, and every woman out there that's listening gets to know you are worth it, and there is a man out there that will treat you the way you deserve to be treated, and as a queen in this world.
For Let's switch it over to your business. For your business and what you're doing in real estate, how do you apply your drive and your vision for creating authentic connections with your clients?
So in real estate, there's lots of resistance in real estate, and so um, that there's of scarcity mindset in real estate. So honestly, in real estate, my job is to coach my clients through a very complex transaction where I handle everything and shift them out of any judgment or mindset that may not be serving them. So, for instance, um, in regards to pricing, in regards to the price, like every seller lives in, not every seller, but lots of people that are selling their home, they live in fantasy land. That's what I like to call it anyway. They like to, of course, they want to get $1 million for maybe a $600,000 home, but that's just not realistic. And so my job is to coach them into what is truly possible and out of expectation or entitlement.
Hmm. Seems a lot like um, how people also treat themselves in relationship, where they haven't put in the work and they're expecting an amazing relationship. And that's why I think connecting with oneself and being centered and grounded in the reality is so important. Would you agree that that's very similar?
No, absolutely. Everything's a mirror. Everything's a mirror, Lucas.
Hmm. And what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Explain that a little bit more for people listening.
Well, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you show up one way, for instance, in relationship, you're going to be able to find that same exact way of being in your business, and so on and so forth.
Hmm. And I got a few more questions for you. So, for the people listening, what are few recommendations that you have for them if they are struggling with making authentic connections, if they are struggling in their relationships, if they are really needing to break out, what would you recommend people doing?
Well, every situation is different. It depend. It's kind of a situational question, but I would definitely say take responsibility. If you're not getting the result in your relationships, it's most likely because you are not taking responsibility. You're not living in responsibility of what is actually happening. You're maybe allowing someone to take advantage of you, or you are showing up a certain way and it's not serving the other person, and they're just turning into your doormat. You know what I mean? Like, you get to take responsibility for how you show up, and if you do that, you'll get the result you want.
That's good. That's good. Well, brother, I appreciate you joining the Golden Rule Revolution today. My true purpose in life is to get people to treat people like people and nothing less. Um, not a possession, not a data point, not a title. To treat people the way we would want to be treated. And I believe every human being on planet Earth wants to be known and loved to the very depths of their core. And what you're doing, your mission and your vision in the world is helping that become a reality. And so I'm honored to have you on today. If people want to find you after the podcast, what's the best way they can reach out to you and connect with you?
Well, you can find me so my real estate business is Make San Diego Home. So at makesandiegohome.com, it's the same on Instagram. It's also the same on Facebook. And then in regards to my coaching, my connection coaching, my relationship coaching, you're going to find that at Brandon.Burho on Facebook, at Brandon.Burho, and then same on Instagram, at Brandon.Burho.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate you joining today. And I just want you to know it's been a pleasure. And I'm excited for what you're doing in this world.
Hey man, I really appreciate it. And you are such a light in this world, and you're such a powerhouse, and keep bringing the love, brother. I really appreciate you and what you're up to.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I love you, brother. And I will talk to you very soon.
Talk to you soon.
I so appreciate you listening today. The audio quality may have been not as high quality as you've heard from other podcasts. Let me tell you, though, the content was phenomenal. Take responsibility. Take accountability in your life. Be vulnerable. Be authentic. The world is full of people that are not vulnerable and are not authentic. And what has it left us? It's left us with hurt people who hurt people. My purpose is to see hurt people get healed and healed people heal others. I'm Lucas Mack, and this has been the Golden Rule Revolution, where inspiration and purpose come from treating people like people and nothing less. Tell your friends about this podcast. Join me. We can do this together. We can make a huge impact in society. We hold the power to make the greatest social change because we are the healed that can heal the hurting. I'm honored that you listened. Please like, subscribe, comment, download, share this podcast, and join me again for next week's episode of the Golden Rule Revolution.